Hey, it's tricky enough talking to people in person, but what if you want to start a conversation on a dating app? How do you do that? After all, there's a ton of crazy apps out there for your phone. And even if you're on a website, well, you gotta know, online dating is huge. So you gotta know the right questions and the right things to say. That's what we're talking about today. How to start a conversation on dating apps. Hey, it's Cavallo from datingfire.com and datingadviceguru.com. So what app are you using? Are you using Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, Her, Match.com, BLK, The Sauce, Victoria, Thursday, Hinge, Happn? I could go on and on with this list. But the truth is that no matter what dating app you're using, your conversation starters are pretty much the same, no matter which one. So let's run through some of the quick tips for how to start a conversation on one of these apps. All right, tip number one is use the profile. The best way to connect with someone is always using information you already know. So start with his bio and then look for some details in his profile about his personality or his interests. The best conversation starter is a question about his life. Now, if you need any proof of this, just look at your own life. I'm sure you would respond positively to a message that asked you about your life or your hobbies. The beauty of these apps is that a woman gets a ton of information and material that she can use to connect with him. It's all in his profile. It's all that information he added. Okay, the next tip is remember the first impression. Make sure your first message to him is kind and positive. Everybody wants more positive messages coming in these days, so make sure to avoid sarcasm. Keep your focus on the positive details. We always remember that first encounter that we had with somebody, so make sure your first impression is powerful. Next tip is use the dog. If you see a picture with him and his dog, or any pet really, but dogs especially, call attention to it. Compliment the dog if you can. Even ask what the dog's name is. If you're a dog owner, you know that you give a positive response to anybody who shows interest in your pet. It's no joke, dude. Next tip is reference something that you have in common. The best thing you can do to start out with is just to find something you've got in common with him. Sometimes it's a mention of a show that you're both watching on Netflix, or a book he's reading, or a song he was listening to on Spotify. Take every opportunity to point out something you can share with him. Next tip is use every bit of information you possibly can. It probably goes without saying that you have to use every little advantage you can get, which means look for things in his photos, details, stuff in what he does for his job, any random quote that he may have stuck in there, any topics you can come up with from what you see in his profile. Just be on the alert for anything in his pictures that gives you an idea for some conversation starters. Nothing's off limits, and make sure you can use Google. Yeah, this is another way that Google can help you. Use Google to help you find something in his profile that you don't recognize or understand, like obscure movie quotes or references. Guys will appreciate the effort that you put in to starting out these small conversations. If you're dating right now, you might be wondering, how do guys see you? If you're curious how men see you, then go take my What's Your Dating Age quiz, because it's not your age, it's your attitude. Are you as young to him as you feel you are? Go find out. Go to datingfire.com, dating age. All right, next tip, remember your first goal. What is your first goal? You don't know? It's chemistry. If you want this guy to crush on you and feel attraction for you, make sure that in the back of your mind at all times you're thinking, I gotta create chemistry. Many women forget that the best way to do this is to just make sure the fun starts immediately in their conversation. Yeah, that means fun messages, humor that you sprinkle in, and really just demonstrating your confidence. Don't forget that stuff. Next tip is forget and forgive the pickup lines. Okay, a lot of guys have read from the dating experts and the pickup artists out there, so he may be a little transparent with his conversation openers. Be forgiving, because most men are very shaky when it comes to starting up conversations. The opening line he uses to start chatting you up is simply he needed a crutch, he needed something, anything, because he had low confidence in himself. He feels under pressure to make something happen, so he might use some lame compliments or some other technique to initiate conversation with you. Guys find their courage in a known technique. That's how guys get their confidence up, and that's why he might use it on you to get things moving forward. You might roll your eyes at it, but you know what? It's not necessary to eliminate him for giving it his best shot. All right, next tip is remember, Everything leads to love. When all is said and done, whatever you had to deal with at the start just to start talking with him is going to be worth it, isn't it? You're going to look back on how you met him as being an amusing story. But right now, it might seem like there's plenty of hurdles and these reasons to throw in the towel and quit as you start starting up conversations with guys. Don't get caught up in that negative thinking. Yeah, it's frustrating. There are hundreds of ways that you guys might fail to make a connection, but don't let one of those ways be pessimism or being in a hurry to quit and tell your friends that, oh, that just didn't work out. Next tip is curiosity is the start of a relationship. The easiest way to start a conversation is by using your curiosity. For example, knowing the reason behind him having a favorite music playlist of the Village People, yeah, that's real, I've seen that, that's going to help you start more conversations on dating apps than sharing a picture of your dessert on Instagram, okay? Asking him what's on his reading list will generate more banter than hoping he gives you a compliment about the dress you're wearing in your profile. Simple cues to trigger fun curiosity are the name of the game when you're getting to know each other. For example, find out why he's such a football fanatic, even if you're not a fan. Ask him why he switched from snowboarding to skiing, and find out why he moved to that city in Texas. Asking him why he chose a career in travel, finding out the stories behind a shirt he's wearing. All of these things are awesome to get the conversation rolling. There's literally no end to initiating conversations when you plug into your curiosity. Hey, if you like these tips, go ahead, do it. I won't tell anybody. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and you can get these videos every week. And you'll know exactly when they're released. Come on, don't miss out. Next tip is take your chances. Take a risk. Don't be afraid of sending him an answer that's a little edgy. Take a chance. It's a greater failure to not awaken his interest than it is to occasionally lose a man's interest by not standing out. And standing out is the name of the game. It's what makes a woman seem confident. And yet so few women ever take this chance. Do it. Next tip is keep it simple. When it comes right down to it, we usually overthink these things. Talking to a friend is always easy. Why is that? Well, because we feel like we've already got our familiarity established. We have nothing to worry about, right? But isn't that true of any conversation? A stranger becomes an acquaintance after only one short conversation. So just keep it simple. If you're having trouble finding the right thing to say, just use something simple in there. This is where small talk came from, right? It gives us an easy way to dig into deeper conversation. After all, we can't start right out talking about deep philosophy and politics. Actually, I would recommend you just avoid politics until you have a real relationship, but that's another video. Really, just start out a conversation with something super simple like, hey, what kind of dog do you have? If you saw a dog in a picture, what do you do to keep busy on Sundays? Or how about this one? Hey Mark, I'm Denise. Really, just a simple introduction like that last one is all you need. Got it? Okay, next one is get some history. This is a super huge tip. One of the easiest things for us to talk about is our past. You can just ask a question about his history to find out more about him and open him up. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? How long have you lived in Oregon? You can ask him where he went to school, what part of the country you grew up in, things like that. Easy peasy. This next one is kind of a don't tip. Avoid compliments. The truth is that compliments are nice, but flattery should not be the way to start a conversation. That's the lazy person's way in, and it seems a little too needy and, well, very insecure. Some people are very sensitive to this, and you could also be turning them off right away. We see through that, right? Avoid openers like, you look great in that shirt. I bet you work out a lot. You're so handsome in that suit. Trust me, you don't want the kind of guy that would respond to immediate flattery. More than likely, you just end up with a closet narcissist. And really, finish it up with this. One simple idea is to stay with common ground. One of the best ways to have a conversation with a guy is just touching on his hobbies. Ask him about movies, or Netflix shows, or video games if you're into them, or music. Common ground is always effective because it immediately establishes a connection between you and him. You know, when it comes right down to it, yeah, conversation can be tough, but it also can be super, super easy. Talking to a guy is actually super simple if you know how you want to make that connection with him, because that connection is what's going to get him interested, and it's what's going to keep him interested in you. You want to find out how to do that? I got a simple way. Go on over to datingfire.com/connection. That's datingfire.com/connection. connection. I'll tell you about the connection code. Now, a lot of women don't know this, but there are very simple codes that guys have. You can tell what kind of guy he is, and you can know immediately what topics are going to be interesting to him, how he wants you to connect with him. You can find out more about that just going over to datingfire.com/connection. And by the way, if you want more of this topic, you can also just go over to datingfire.com. You'll get sent right to the list of my articles, and you can find out what I couldn't fit into this video. Hey, if you're new here, or even if you're not, just do the big three real quick before you run away. Like and subscribe, get this stuff every week. Turn on notifications, click that bell icon so you can get notified when I release more incredible videos. Oh yeah, they're coming soon. And if you're already subscribed, please share with somebody. Send them the link to this channel. I give away all this great free info, and I just need more women to find out about it. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, did you agree with these? Do you have some tips of your own? Leave them down in the comments section below. Hey, there might even be a video that you want, a part 2 or something like that. I read the comments and I try to respond to as many as I can. Don't forget, wait a few more seconds. I'm going to put a recommended video right up here in the corner for you to click. Hey, this is Cavallo. As always, live and love with passion.